Aaron here with Lower Lawns, and I got a new mower. Check it out, guys. How cool is this? It's a Skag V-Ride 48. But that's not the mower I want to talk about here, because I also bought this mower. And this mower is a Snapper Pro. Don't know what year. I'm guessing 2015, maybe 2013. And it is not new. It's not new at all. It's very used. It's quite well used. And I got this relatively cheap. Saw it on Marketplace for $2,500. I offered $2,000 and ended up, because it wouldn't run when I got there, ended up getting it for $1,500. So yeah, I went ahead and bit the bullet on it because it's got the Kawasaki engine on it, 52-inch deck, and the Snapper Pro pretty much is ferrous, so I can get parts relatively easy for it. And I did some research. It's actually pretty easy to find parts for this online as well. So I told you it wouldn't run, so we put it in neutral, you know, put the gears out, rolled it onto the trailer, and check this out. So I'm not going to let that run too long because the maintenance has not been done on it at all. So I don't even know if it has the right amount of oil in it. I don't think it does. But all it needed to fire up was a battery, and I got an extra $500 off basically for that. So let's pull it out and let's take a look at every little thing that's wrong with this mower. All right, so here it is. And when I test drove it, I ran it for about 20 minutes and it felt fine. As far as the engine goes, I didn't feel any hesitation at all. The blades ran perfectly. They didn't feel like the spindles had any issues as far as being warped or dragging or anything like that. I've not really gotten to test it on grass because we're in our winter season. Nothing's really growing, but let's look at what's wrong with it. First and foremost, the spindle is missing the fitting. Take a look at this one. As you'll know, they've got grease fittings on them. I have a grease fitting to put on it, so we're going to do that because it's just a threaded fitting. Easy fix. The cap is broken, and whenever they posted the picture online, I could see there was no filter. The two-way filter, it's missing the main part. So there's that, and then the other clip is broken, so I have a new cap, and whatever this little thing is, I have it. This is broken. I don't know how to fix that. If you have any ideas, let me know, because I'm just going to kind of leave it. I may tear it apart and do some like sketchy like JB Weld kind of thing to hold the plastic together, but I don't think it matters to me that much. What else? I fixed the battery already, just for this. The coolant reservoirs are broken. So, and that's another reason why I don't want to run it too long, because if those reservoirs are broken, I don't know, they're both broken. This one's not as bad, but you can see, let's see. You can see a little crack in there. So it's not as bad. And as far as being dirty, like for a pretty old mower, it's not that dirty. But other than that, we're going to do spark plugs, oil, hydraulic oil, fix the reservoir, fix the air filter situation, fix the spindle, and I think after I grease everything, this will be perfectly fine. What shocks me is that the tires are holding air. Usually when a mower's sat for as long as he said this did, like, it doesn't hold air at all. You can see he did a kind of a rough patch, but there's tons of tread. So like, I won't even have to get tires on this for a little bit. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it and ready to get to work on it. And actually, before I rinse this, I'm going to put this fitting in. If it's not stripped. Oop. Alright, now we gotta do the hydro gear, which, if you look, that's where your filters are. So I think I'm gonna have to take the tire off. I've actually never done hydro gear before. I always drop it off and let the dealership do it, but since this is a cheap mower and I'm not attached to it, if I ruin it, you know what? It's fine. I can drop it off somewhere. Let me get my camera stand here. Some nice lawn wire around the axle. This is the stuff that goes on the grass mats when you're putting seed out. It is in there. Got a stick. There's the filter. And I've got 3 screws. One there, 2 there. And I think this cover comes off. And then I can get to the filter. Alright, so I can't get to that bolt because there's just no clearance. The other ones I can reach just fine, you know, but I could use a little more space, so I'm gonna have to take this cover plate off. It's gonna be a little bit of a pain. Got 2 bolts here, these 2. Got 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts here. Then I've got 1 there. Then I've got 1, I can't see down there, so like right here. And then that should give me full access to everything I need. First things first, I'll try to get all this netting out. There's a lot more than I thought. I mean, it is wrapped in there. Got needle nose pliers, and I'm just kind of, that's like a whole net. This is why I hate that lawn matting with the hay. One, it doesn't work well enough to justify. Oh, look at that, it all just came out. Look at that. I thought that would be a little bit more work, but that's clear. Alright. Now, how do I get to that? So if you're wondering how you get to these two bolts, what you do is come into there. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. Put that little guy right there. And then I should be able to there it goes. These bolts are all the same size, so just set them together so you don't lose it. And do one side at a time if you're like me and you tend to lose stuff, right? Get this. Okay. Alright, so this part, you just take the plate off because it's got the clips that bolt in, and they're on the inside, and that'll give me access to this bolt so that I can get it off. And so you don't lose them, bolt it up loose, set it aside until the very end when you can put it back. Now take this to the back. Maybe. Well, I might not actually be able to get to that. Yeah, there's a bar that folds under there. I'm gonna have to find something else. Alright, I found a small ratchet. Oh. There we go. So there it is without the cover. You can see that's the bolt that I could not reach. Hopefully I don't block the camera too much. Alright, let's try this. There we go. So here is the cover. I'm gonna get all that gunk out because that's just gonna build up heat, and when it's dry, you don't want dry heat. And then there's the filter, and now you can see what I mean. Maybe it's just muddy actually, but I don't think this was ever changed. I don't think I've seen a white filter on these before. You know, in the entire time that I've been doing this, every filter has been a black, you know, similar style. I'm sure it doesn't matter, but that is an old filter. All right, now, can we get the filter off? The answer is not really. Something else. Alright, I don't know if anyone's ever seen this before, but I've got a clamp and I'm gonna try to, I've got it like really tight on there. I don't want to mash it, but I'm just gonna see if I can make this work. Alright, screwdriver it is. I don't normally like to do this. Alright. This is annoying. There we go. That was ridiculous. I'm honestly surprised at how clean that oil looks, because that's not bad. I expected worse. Worse? Worse. It is fully drained, the transmission now. I have my new filter, part number 521144. This is a Snapper Pro with the 20 horsepower Kawasaki and Hydro Gear 3100. I'm going to treat this filter just like I would a truck filter. I'm just going to fill it up and you'll see the oil go down. Maybe you can, maybe you can't on the camera. But I fill it all the way up to the top and you can see there's some space in there, hopefully. And then I'll fill it up again. And that just saturates the paper, because that's all these filters are, is just some filter paper similar to what is in your air filter. When you change the filter in your house, it's like a round one of those. It looks like a round zigzaggy accordion circle of filter paper. And now that I've done that twice, fill it to the top, let it drain into the paper, fill it again to the top, let it soak into the paper a little bit more. Take a little bit of the oil, put it around the gasket. The gasket is the little black ring, just for the couple of people that might not know. Next, you need to make sure the area is clean around where you're going to join up. I'll show you that. So this right here is what you need to make sure is clean. Okay, take your paper towel, wipe around it. And there's a bunch of sticky gunk on this one. Now you can spray some brake cleaner in here, make a real quick job of it. But I'm gonna try a magic eraser. Get that out of the way. Let's see here. Oh yeah. These things are like legitimately magic. I don't understand it. It's a little abrasive, so you wouldn't want to do it on everything. But wow. Yeah, that got that darn near perfect. I don't know if you can tell. A little bit of gunk right there, but I think that's just discoloration. It doesn't feel, and that's as smooth as butter, you know. So now we're gonna screw this on, and since we filled our filter up, it's gonna spill a little bit, and that's okay. Just put it on. Don't cross thread it. Okay, now it's making contact, okay, right? So it's just barely on there. And all you want to do is about a 3/4 turn. And since you oiled up that gasket and you're only doing about a 3/4 turn, that won't be a fight like that old one. Now that it's drained and the oil filter is filled and on and tight, you come under the mower and yeah, so there's a bolt right here, maybe you can see it, and I'm gonna pull it out because I've already loosened it because it's kind of hard to get to, like I can't film it. Here it is. That's what you got. And the only thing that I have to fit it is this little guy right here. Okay. And that just pops right into there. And it's extremely tight. Check the seal. The seal looks good. I'm trying to keep dirt off of it, but there you go. Alright, so this is the kit that I have. You can see the mowers that it's for. There's just oil in there now, but it comes with a pump and an inlet attachment. Let me see if I can get this. There you go. So anyway, this screws in to where the plug came out. This end gets the pump. Okay, this end stays open, and when it's full, your oil will come out on this side. So put your oil pan under there while you're doing this, and then I'll show you how to attach it to the oil jug. All right, maybe you can see it, maybe not, but we're threaded in. It did get a little cross-threaded because it's really tight in there. So hopefully I didn't damage my machine, but there's really just no other way to do this that I can tell. But you can see how it's threaded up and how the pipe is on there. And now let's get the pump onto the jug. Okay, so here's my pump end. It comes like this, and what you do, it says you twist to open. You just twist it. And now it is a fully functional pump. This part goes on your jug. I forgot this piece. That's why I'm struggling. And that goes right in there, so that you don't have to tilt it like I was doing. Now in theory, that should make it easier, right? Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, much easier. Alright, so we've got the filter changed on the transmission on this side. Got a pump full of oil. Got the shield back on. Got the oil guard back on right here. Now I need to replace the cracked oil reservoir. I have the new one here. That is part number 71328. And your model number is right there. 5900549. Snapper Pro. Alright, I'm changing this reservoir, and I just as I finish up, had a realization. Again, this is a new mower to me, but look at this. Look how easy this could have been. Oh, I can't believe I didn't see this sooner. Well, step one to change your reservoir tank should be this. 13mm bolts. There's not a bolt on the other side. It goes into these threaded clips. Set your bolts in one spot together. There's two on each side, and you can remove this plate. And look at that. Easy access, man. And you can see what those bolts clip into, so you don't have to worry about losing a bolt. And now these do have a nut on the other side of the bolt that thread them into this mounting bracket. You want to remove these two bolts. They're 11mm. And then once those bolts are removed, this will be loose. You're going to have some oil in here. but then you want to remove this clip after you empty that oil. So let's do one thing at a time. Remove the bolts. Alright, I want to apologize for the camera angle. I just don't have a good way to show this. It's in such a weird spot, but here are your bolts. There's one right here, and there's one right here. They're 11mm, and it really helps if you don't have them. These come in handy every single place that you work on equipment, which is a ratcheting set. So you don't have to keep turning, pull off, turn, pull off, turn. You can just ratchet it. If you don't have ratcheting wrenches, get them. So this one on the inside is particularly tricky. So if I can get my wrench around it, I want to hold that there. So the wrench is right there, and I'm trying to hold it still while I'm ratcheting on the other side, on the opposite side where the bolt is. It's a little tricky to get it back in too, even with this plate off, but it's easy enough. Alright. And I tried not to drop the nut on the other side. Those together, set it aside to where you don't lose it. Do the same thing. Hold it steady on one side, take your ratcheting wrench, and loosen up. And you can do it with your hand, just grab the nut, pull it off. Put the nut on your bolt so you don't lose it. Set it aside. Now you're loose. There's a clip right here. Here's your reservoir loose. So there's a clip that holds your line on right here. Okay, the way that works, you've got two tabs and then one in the middle on the other side. And that creates tension. You'll take your plier and you'll squeeze it, and then it just slides down. And then you let it go. Now you can pull the reservoir off of that line. And that's the tricky part, believe it or not. I'm gonna open the cap and I'm gonna empty this dirty oil out into my oil pan. And take a look at this oil. It is nasty. That should be clear. So if yours is stubborn like mine, take a screwdriver, flathead, and you can just pry around it. You want to do pretty even all the way around to loosen it up, and then give it a firm pull. Now if you hold it, hold the line, okay, up against this and then pull, that'll keep you, when it flies off, that'll keep you from busting your knuckles if you do this. So just give it a hard pull. And there we go. All right, now we have the new reservoir, part number 71328. It's actually, you can't see on camera, I bet, but it's right here in the top corner, and it should be on the one that's on the machine. It was for me at least. Hopefully you got a setup similar to mine. But this part's the easy part. Take reservoir, take line, put reservoir into line. Little push on there, and that's it. And now you put your clip Put your clip back up. Make sure it's in about the same position as it was. Now technically these tension clips you're supposed to replace, and if I were you I would, but I'm not you, so I'm gonna break the rules. And in my case, if I see a leak from here when the system's pressurized and going, obviously I'll take it all apart and put on a proper new clip or you know, whatever to hold that on there. But that'll come later. I just want to get this used mower running and make sure that it's worth all that extra effort before I do a little bit too much, you know. So once your clip is in place, put your reservoir back in place and rebolt it, doing the opposite of what you did to take it apart. And what is easiest for me on this, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. What's easiest for me, take my needle nose, kind of thread it in gently and slowly, and then use the bolt to line everything up. Alright, and now once it's threaded, you can actually do the reverse of how you got it off. And there you have it. You have a completely refreshed and updated hydraulic reservoir. Alright, maybe you can tell, maybe not, I don't know. But I was doing my hydro service in the last little clip there, and it decided to pour down rain. So I kind of had to get the job done in between downpours, and it's rained for pretty much 3 days at this point. So very heavy rain, like to the point where I couldn't get out in it to do anything else. So I had to rush through taking this side apart, basically doing all the same stuff. It went a lot quicker. It wasn't like a fun process, especially with the rain, but it went a lot quicker now that I knew what I was doing when I got to this side. And I went ahead and did the purge process, which, if you don't know, you want to jack up the mower, and this is after you've changed your oil and stuff. I've got the reservoir tanks, I've changed those out, and I'll keep an eye on those as I use the mower. But if you don't know, once you change your fluid, jack up the mower to where the wheels are free. Put your mower in neutral, okay, so that the drive doesn't engage. And then while it's jacked up and while it's in neutral, turn the mower on and then just run through the forward and then the back, the reverse on both sides 6 times. So forward 6 times and then backward 6 times, and just go slow through it, and that'll give you a fully purged system. I ran it for 10 minutes or so in the rain. I need to keep running it. Whenever I get done with what I'm going to do today, I'm going to take it out tomorrow and I'll run it all day tomorrow, keep an eye on the reservoirs and all that, and make sure everything's fine. But today I get to do much easier stuff. You know, the hydros, I'd never done that before, as you could probably tell watching that first half of that there. But the rest of it should be pretty straightforward. Basic tune-up, spark plugs, air filter, new cap, oil, all that good stuff. So let's get into that. All right, so first things first, I'm going to change off this broken cap. It's missing a latch. The end is missing here. And that's as simple as put on a clip. Oh, I need to do the filter. Hang on a minute. Alright, so we've got a tune-up kit from Kawasaki. Here's your part number down at the bottom, right there. You can pause for that. And that should have everything you need for the FX651V. I'm going to get it open here with one hand. That up. Okay, of course it goes that way. Open that up. Alright, and there we go. And it's probably cheaper to get everything, like you don't need the Kawasaki oil, you can just put oil in it. So it's probably cheaper to just get supplies separately. Look on Amazon, you can find off-brand stuff. It's got your spark plugs, your oil filter, and I'll go through each part, but for now, we need the air filter, which you can see the part number there, P821575, and it's got the inner filter on the inside. So let's change that out. Again, one-handed. This filter is very bad. I don't think they ever changed the air filter. Okay, that's what I'll do with that. And it's all pre-assembled, so it's got an inner filter and an outer. I'm just gonna try to shove this whole thing in there. Alright, cool. Now I'm gonna take my new cap. There's not a part, okay, so there's a lot of numbers on the inside, but the bag it came in didn't have a part number. I'm gonna read, well, okay, there's literally 6 different numbers in there, so sorry. I'm not gonna read off 6 different numbers. Maybe you can read in here. There's more, there you go. You can pause and read those. Maybe one of those will pull up what you need. I'm not gonna read them all, but that goes on the same way the other one came off. And it should be a pretty snug fit. And the clip just goes on the other side of that lip. Uh-oh. There we go. Goes on the other side of that lip and clips down. Question. Yes. Alright, hang on. There we go. All right, perfect fit. Look at that, brand spanking new. And it also, I got a new cap. This was actually separate. Part number P522958. That'll just go right on the end, and that's also too hard to do one-handed. So. And why did they flare it out like that? And if it's this hard to get on, how did the original one come off? That's what I want to know. What were you doing with this mower? Almost. There we go. And now we can breathe without getting debris. Okay, first things first, for an oil change, warm up the engine. Alright, so we warmed it up for about 5 minutes. I was thinking about it, and I don't know what they've done and not done to this engine, so I don't want to run it too long if the oil in here is bad, you know what I mean, or too low. So it's warm to the touch at least, so that's something. I've got the dipstick cracked so that it drains easier, and the filter is in the middle here. Maybe you can see that. And then there's my drain plug coming off the back. So I'm going to start by draining it. Now let's see how long it takes me to crack this drain. $16. So that's going to take 6 years to drain. I'm going to jack the front up. Maybe that'll help it a little bit, but I doubt it. All right, let's see if this filter comes off. How hard is this? Oh, it's not even attached. Okay, so the actual oil filter was hand tight, and I don't think that's what my filters look like, so, but you can see it's actually black, which is good. You don't want milky looking oil, so even though it's never been changed, I'm okay with how that looks. All right, so here's the new filter. Does look right. 490650721 is the filter you're looking for. All right, so we're going to do spark plugs while that oil is draining. Plugs that go in this are BPR4ES. Here's your spark plug. It's going to be a 13/16 socket. You'll need a long one to get in there, and just looking at the engine going right down there. All right, and now I gotta find a way to do this. The easiest way I found to do this when they're in a tight spot is to take the socket off and slide it on, and then put your socket in, or put your ratchet into the socket. All right, and then give it a turn, and once it's loose, you can just go by hand. I don't even think the spark plugs were tight. All right, and so honestly, it's not horrible at all. That's a really good sign. Let's get the new ones in. All right, and so here's a trick with your new spark plug. Whenever you put it in, you don't want to cross thread it. All right, so butt it up to the hole, and instead of turning it right so that you don't cross thread, if you turn it left like you're loosening it, eventually you'll feel a click, and that's when your threads are set. and then you can tighten it up without being cross-threaded. Because if you do cross-thread spark plugs, you're gonna have a bad time. that's the nicest way I can say it. But just get it hand tight, and then take your socket and tighten it just a hair more. It needs to be snug, not torqued. And when it's tight, you can see down in there maybe that little shiny bit. It's like a cap, and it goes on the end of this. Whenever you press it in with your thumb, you'll feel another click when it's fully seated, and it shouldn't come off. So let's get that going. There it goes. Yeah, there it goes. Alright, going to the other spark plug. It's on this side of the engine. And we'll come down here, pull the plug, or the cap. Slide it in there. Uh-oh. Hang on. Alright, had to get a extension and just crack it loose. And that was barely even on there. I probably could have done that with my hand. Alright, here's the other side. A little bit of gunk at the bottom. But overall, I mean, it looks pretty darn fine. A little dark, but not horrible. Now we're going to change the fuel filter. That one actually looked okay, but I'm going to go ahead and change it just to be safe. 49010031 C1F4. There's that. And now your spark plug is going to be right on this. If you're looking from this angle, spark plug. Now your fuel filter, if you're looking from the back side of the mower, going to be right next to the gas tank. And then we'll just come in, and it's right there. And it's similar to when we did the reservoir tank clips. It's got these little tension clips here. You'll squeeze those and pull them back, and then it'll just pop right off. Alright, so a little trick that I'll use when I do my fuel filters is I'll take clamps and I'll clamp off the lines so that when I pull the filter, I'm not getting gas everywhere. So there's two things to clamp. We'll come down here and we'll clamp. Don't clamp it too tight. You know, you just need it to be barely clamped. Maybe a little bit more than that. Just need it to be barely clamped. You don't want to cut the line or puncture it. Like I said, make adjustments if you need to. Clamp your line, then take your pliers on the clip. There you go. Alright, so we move those down. Now, basically pull the fuel line off. So there's that. And my lines aren't leaking, but that filter had some fuel in it, so it'll leak a little bit. So wear your gloves. Make sure your arrow is pointing toward the engine, because that's your flow direction. And then it just pops right back into the line. Go. Move your clip back into place. And there you go. New fuel filter. Good to go. Got a tall funnel in there. Now we just fill it up. Alright, and now check on your dipstick and it'll tell you how to check for level. For correct oil level, do not turn cap on the threads. It's got that written right on there. So just check your machine and do exactly what it says. And that is completely full. You're not going to be able to tell that on the camera. So let's clean off the spilt oil and fire this thing up. Alright, so I had to take a break and go to Home Depot for a wrench because I'm leveling the deck on the mower, and I went to Home Depot for a wrench and I came back, can you see it, with two push mowers. Now it's like when you walk into Costco and you just need to get like a couple things and you end up leaving with the whole store. So apparently Toro is going exclusive. There's actually a few dealers in town that have dropped Toro because they want the dealers to be exclusively Toro dealers, and no one wants to do that. So we're pretty much losing Toro dealers, but Home Depot included, they're getting DeWalt back in, and DeWalt lawnmowers and stuff like that for the first time in many years. So that's gonna bite Toro in the butt. But these were marked for $299, and there was only 2 of them left, the only 2 Toro products there. And I did that, you know, I've never done this before, but it's that old man thing where it's like, maybe I can get a good deal, right? And so, you know, you look it up and they only retail online for like 500 bucks a piece. So I went over to the desk and I said, hey, you've only got 2 of these mowers. If I buy them both, can you take more off? And they took 100 bucks off total, so $50 each. So I got 2 lawnmowers basically for the price of 1. And I usually go through about 1 push mower every season. Last year I suffered through the season with a Troy built push mower. It's god awful. It is the worst push mower I think I've ever used. The years prior, I used a Time Master 30-inch cut, the homeowner model. I used that for about 5 years before it finally, the engine blew, because I never did oil changes in that thing. It shocked me, like, because those Toro Time Masters are notorious for people having issues with them, with like the transmissions and stuff. I didn't have a single issue, and I never did a lick of maintenance on my Toro Time Master. Unfortunately, they are a little bit too pricey for me now. I just can't justify spending nearly 2,000 bucks on a homeowner model. I would rather just go buy the commercial one. But I'm not spending $2,000 on a push mower. So yeah, we're rocking the 22s until a reasonably priced 30 comes out. I would prefer a 30, but rocking the 22s now, or the 20-inch, whatever I can find at the time. But yeah, just a weird tangent in the middle of this video. All right, got the deck leveled yesterday. Hopefully, I don't know. I'm not going to show too much of that process because I had a heck of a time with it and I don't know if I've done it right. So maybe if it cuts right, I'll do a separate video on that. But if I'm not sure about something, I don't want to show it the wrong way. But anyway, here's the blades that were on it, and then here's your new blade. And not really, doesn't look bent, but it's hard to tell sometimes. But it's definitely worn. But these are stuck, so I want to show you how to get a stuck blade off. Okay, so this one right here is very stuck. So I've got a block, and what I'll do is I'll prop it on that baffle and I'll pull on my breaker bar. So let's see if I can set this up on camera here. Hopefully you can see. Now normally there's more material on the blade, so you might have to use a bigger bar if your blades are one like these. I mean a bigger block. So prop that up and then give it a pull. Alright, now that that's loose, if doing this does not get your bolt unstuck, take a torch and heat the bolt and try again. Let me show you this. So I've only ever had one spindle that I was not able to get with the heat blowtorch on the bolt, and it was this mower, my old Ferris that you've seen in old videos. These spindles on these old Ferris mowers are very, very poorly made, and the key, there's a little guide key that slides down and holds everything in place, and it binded up in such a way that while I was using it, it warped pretty much everything, and we were not able to get it out. I ended up having to take and cut it off because you can't remove, because the way it was locked, you can't remove that pulley just by taking the bolts out. So if you ever have issues with a bolt coming off, use the block. If the block doesn't work, typically heat will do it, and on extremely rare cases you'll have to get a new spindle. The issue with that Ferris was it started from the pulley, but it bound up so much that it just made it to where that bolt just, something was out of whack and out of line, and I took it over to a mechanic shop, and they use like heavy duty stuff, like the way hotter torch, the biggest power gun they had it up on a lift with a breaker bar that, I mean, they were like, you know, like way, like it was way messed up. So we ended up having to use a sawzall to cut off from the bottom. It took forever, but just put a metal blade on it. Hopefully you don't have to deal with that because it sucks, but typically heat will do the job. All right, there we go. We've got it all fixed up, cleaned, got everything greased, leveled, and I've got to say it feels really good. I've gone ahead and cut the yard with it here, what little bit of yard I have. It's still winter time, so there's not much to be able to cut, but yeah, a couple things. I'm gonna have to figure out some stuff with the deck leveling, and I can't really, like, it seems okay-ish. I'm just gonna have to tinker with it in the season when the grass is actually growing and make some adjustments based on how the grass looks there. The tracking, I got it mostly fixed. It had an issue where it was wanting to tail to the right. I was able to get it adjusted, and I've got everything greased and sprayed. I've got all the little connection points. I mean, there's little connection points in there, down here. There's just dozens and dozens of little joints and swivel points. But I've got everything greased up, sprayed with some lube, and I'm hoping that over time it'll seep into those dried out joints and it'll track a little bit better. I notice whenever I stop, or like whenever I go in reverse, my speed slows way down for some reason. So I have to like push it back up and then it goes back down. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. But everything works really well. I've already mowed. I forgot to actually film it, but I'll run it a little bit just so you can see what it sounds like.